Hello, everybody, and welcome to RFL Live. This is episode 6, and today we're going to be previewing round 6 at Monaco, and we're also going to be reviewing round 5 at Spain across Tier 1 and Tier 2, respectively. Today I'm joined by Artie, new person.
Hi there.
Yeah,
So,
who
yeah,
are
I-
you? What are you doing here? Ooh. Right, so we're going to be going, and Lewis is going to join soon, so he will be here to cover Tier 2 with us, and I want to quickly get a thing out of the way of saying I did have graphics all prepared for this, and then my computer decided to not. So I lost it all, so I've had to really quickly string together as much as I can for this show, so we're not going to have any of the fancy Tier 1 drivers graphic stuff, but nonetheless, it's here, and I'm going to quickly be trying to get a tweet out on the RFL account. So, Spain, what did you expect coming into this race for across both tiers? What were things you were really looking for?
from Spain. Well, this is a bit of like I don't know, kind of like maybe strong track for most drivers. Maybe not so much as for others because of some of the corners and the West overtaking opportunities. So,
Yeah.
don't know.
No, you never really know because some drivers like it, some drivers don't, so you can't really know what you're coming into here. So we'll get right in with Tier 1 qualifying. So, obviously, really good. I think, actually, we'll do it in reverse order. That's probably an easier way to do it. So, 15th place was Langman, who was in the Alpha. And I think he did set a lap. I think he was on hard tyres. But yeah, starting in last place, of course, that's not ideal for himself. I think we'll start with Alpha in that case then. And BMG Clenzo up in third place. That's a really good qualifying for Clenzo compared to what we've seen before. But we have seen he's been quite good in qualifying, and then come to the actual race, he's sort of dropped back. But were you at all surprised by sort of Clenzo being up there, P3?
Well, we've seen from like previous races that his qualifying, like for example, Australia was very good, and maybe not so much as in China and Bahrain. But yeah, I think that was kind of expected, but I'm not sure if you could say the same about his race pace.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm trying to do this in reverse order, so I am getting tables up to make this a hell of a lot easier. So I'll quickly pop back there. What team were you looking at next? I'm going to have it on my screen. Ferrari. Okay, we'll have a look at Ferrari now. So of course, AMS Dark Predator, he is finally back. Well, actually, I'll say that he raced last week, but I didn't get to actually watch him in that one because I was away. So not a good qualifying for himself, of course, on the hard tyres. 1.2 seconds off the pace. Really, really far off. Wouldn't have been happy with that at all, would he?
Well, it really depends. I mean, if you look at the tire differences
Of course, yeah.
between each compound, I mean, medium and hard, it could be like a second difference between one and the other tire. So it was kind of expected considering there's everyone ahead of him except Boomson qualified on mediums.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe that was a strategy to start on hard tire and go on the medium in the race on the second stint.
Yeah, for sure, because of course that was, as we saw in the race as well, that was definitely the better strategy to be just that little bit quicker at the end as well. And with the way the race panned out, with a massive train for most of it, being on those hard tyres at the back actually didn't hinder you too much. If we look at next, of course, the other Ferrari Xbox Nuthead, he's a reserve for this race, and he qualified in 8th, so pretty good showing to be fair. Only 3.5 tenths off of pole position, and actually set the exact same lap time as Danny as well, of course, who's a champion in RFL. So he'll be really happy with that because I think it is an improvement on his Azerbaijan pace. So, of course, P8 not bad at all. What team is next? Oh, sorry, this is the issue with not having the graphics. Racing Point, and I don't think... Oh, no, sorry. Gorsh, of course. P6, of course, he's a reserve as well, at least still is for the moment. He was in a Racing Point car on those medium tyres. Not a great lap. We know he's really quick, but qualifying was so close, wasn't it? It was just I mean, to have the top, what was it, top 9 separated by about half a second, it was a really close qualifying. So as a reserve coming in, of course, we knew it would be quick, but were you a bit surprised by that lap time, or was it somewhat expected?
I suppose it was somewhere expected. I mean, it could have been like 1/10 maybe, but I guess close to 2 or 3 tenths is maybe he just had like one mistake somewhere throughout the lap or didn't get the best run out of some corners. So yeah, but sometimes even if you know that the guy is fast, you can't exactly always expect them to qualify up on pole or on front row.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I mean, simple mistake. Of course, with qualifying being this close, it did really mean that if anyone made even the slightest mistake, they were probably going to be dropping down to about 9th or 10th. So, and then again, I know people up front. I don't think they really strung together the best lap. Me and P2, I didn't have the best lap, and to only be 1900ths off of a pole was a little bit frustrating. But that's just how close it was. And Mercedes were at next, so they had a fairly okay qualifying session. Both pretty much in the upper half. Chandler, we've seen he's a really good qualifier this season, but he normally goes onto a softer tyre, so I think this is one of the first times, he has done it once, twice before, where he's actually been on what most of the guys are using, the same tyre, and qualified well. So do you think he'd be quite happy with that?
Oh yeah, I suppose he'll be happy with Ford, and I think he learned from his mistake in China of the only one going on soft tire that didn't really pay off for him, and he couldn't convert the pole into a win. So yeah, I think before it's kind of where you would expect him to be, considering his pace compared to his teammate.
Yeah. And of course, you mentioned his teammate, Naaman, who's that? Nomad/Damon. There we go. Down in P9. Again, that's still half a second off the pace, though. Any other track, if he's half a second off pole, he'll be well up there. So I think it's just with how close this qualifying session was, to be honest, it was... And again, even if he made a little mistake, he could have been right up there. So with any of these guys, and also I think with qualifying as well, Damon's not normally within about 2/10 of Chandler, so I think he'll be quite happy with that as well. I think, yeah, of course, because it's only qualifying, so we're sort of rushing through this one. Alpha, we've done them. Red Bull, only one driver today, and it was F1 Aiden who was a reserve. Qualified 11th place, put himself in a good position to potentially start on those hard tyres and get that better strategy, but I'm not quite sure if he did actually. 8 tenths off the pace, is that really a surprise? Do we expect a bit more pace from him? Of course, he's a reserve. Do you know what his pace is sort of like, or was this much of a surprise?
Well, his pace is, I suppose, I don't know, kind of like a mystery because I remember he used to be like quick on 2017, perhaps on 2018 as well. Maybe just not up to speed yet on this game.
Yeah, a bit like what we've seen from Ants, where he's just not quite got he hasn't quite learnt the game, hasn't quite adapted to it yet.
Yeah, haven't really seen him like around either in like public hoppers on us.
Oh yeah. Right, okay. So next up is Toro Rosso. So Adam qualified 10th. He won't be happy with that. He normally does qualify a bit higher than that. And Grumpy Line, of course, we mentioned before, very happy with pole position. Beat me, very annoyingly, by 200ths of a second. And he said it was his first pole in about 3 years. He was certain of it. So he was absolutely... Well, he was definitely very happy to... Yeah, of course. He was very happy to be on pole, of course, because he hasn't done it for so long. And then, of course, made comparisons between me and Brendan Lee. So the future's looking good for me, because the last person he beat to pole was Brendan Lee. So, future esports champion here, I am. Not a chance. So, next? Of course, Line, of course, he put him in a brilliant position for this race. And we'll move on again in a second. And as Lewis has just made clear, I saw he joined the call earlier, but he's just said that. So, he is in the show now. Hello.
Hello, I'm like out right now, so if you can hear anything in the background, I apologise.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, of course. Right, we'll move on again to McLaren now. Danny, he's back. we probably assumed he was going to lose a lot more spots in the championship than he actually did. So P7 in qualifying, to be honest, is a bit of a surprise. It's quite low. But then if you look at the drivers who beat him, it does sort of, it does represent what's been going on this season. So maybe Danny just doesn't quite have the pace yet, or at least on one lap pace, because we've seen this a couple of times in quali now, him being around P7, P8. So would you think he'd be disappointed with that, or is that, of course, he's just come back, hasn't played the game for a while, is that sort of expected?
Well, it's kind of hard to tell with him. You would possibly expect him to be like maybe just P5, like touching the top 5 at least. But yeah, a bit like P7. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's about what you sort of expect. But I mean, of course, like the season's gone by. Last game, he was always right up there. So far in this game, he hasn't quite got his footing on that one lap pace by the look of it. So yeah, not brilliant. I don't think there was a reserve. I don't think there was a reserve for Ian Boy. I don't think there was. I made all these graphics earlier, so I should probably know, but I can't quite remember. So Renault, obviously really good qualifying actually. Me P2, me and Beacon P2, and Vapid P5. Only 3/10 off of pole, so it was really close. Fairly solid qualifying from Vapid. We've seen him a bit higher than that before. And I know in practice he put in some really good lap times that were much better than an 18.4, but he could have been there or thereabouts with, I think, Clenzo and me. So, but I think really good qualifying overall for the Renault duo. And then Haas now, we're moving on to really bad qualifying. Chavai's 12th reserve, filling in for TOR Pepsi and LCR Blumsen on the hard tyres. In P13, so of course I think that was more of a strategy orientated decision, or what do you think? Do you think Brumson sort of sacrificed qualifying so he could do that strategy, or did it just sort of come around that he had to do that strategy because he messed up qualifying?
No, I think that was planned, that he would probably start on hards. I mean, looking at only 8/10 away from pole. 8.5 tenths away from pole on hard tire. That's
it's a
pretty
good lap, that,
yeah, it's pretty good. Whereas for Schweiz, he is, as I've heard, he's learning no line. So yeah, maybe his pace will come around somewhere around midpoint of the season. He'll probably get up there with the other fast guys, like maybe in the middle, like P6 or P7. But yeah. Qualifying for Spain.
Of course, because it was, I think, Monza last season. I mentioned this in last week's show. He came in and he was really quick in a Tier 1 race. He had really, really good pace. Season finale in Monza, I think it was. He was really quick. So, of course, now got no line and is going to try to effectively learn a new game, but not quite. Second, he gets his footing. If his pace is even close to what he managed in that season finale last year, he should be all right for this season, to be fair. As a reserve now, I don't think he has a full-time seat yet. I'm not 100% versed because there's been, in the last 2 or 3 races, a lot of driver changes. So a lot of it's sort of gone over my head. So that's always good. And then no Williams this week, so Jolly wasn't here, and Flying Rossi wasn't here either. So this is the first time it's been Williams free. Both two really quick drivers. Jolly, you'd expect to be up there, especially on a day like this, where qualifying so close, and he's normally a good, even 2-3 tenths ahead of these. So it could have been a pretty dominant display by Jolly. Do you think?
Yeah, of course, he probably also would have converted another qualifying position wherever he was, like top 3 or top 5. Probably would have converted into a win as well if he was here. But yeah, not a good week for both Williams drivers to be absent. Basically, shatters their constructors' lead that they build up in the first 4 rounds, thanks to Joey.
Yeah, of course, Jolly really contributing current drivers, or topping the Drivers' Championship by a considerable margin after winning 4 of the first 5 races. So, no, 3 of the first 4 races. And then missed this one, which was round 5. So that's sort of ended his streak, but of course he'll say it's counting because he didn't actually race. So, I think we'll move on to the race now. So this time we are going to do it properly in reverse grid order rather than me starting with Alpha for no reason. Not quite sure. So we have Adam 14th place. Not ideal. Actually, I should mention Schweiz and Haas, and I've completely ruined the idea of doing reverse grid, haven't I? Ferrari first. So Pred finishing P5, not bad for himself. They're still bottom of the championship at the moment, so those points weren't quite enough. But finally, they've got some solid points on the board. Pred also last week in Azerbaijan got some points as well. Got a couple of points. And Xbox Nuthead, after that good qualifying, he wasn't able to convert it into race pace. I think he had quite a few issues, as fairly accurately detailed by him being 1 minute 20 off of Wunson at the end of the race. I think, really, Nuthead had a really disappointing race. I can't say poor race, because he obviously was involved in incidents. But, Pred, what happened with his race? What happened with Pred? Because, of course, it's... started P14, of course. He was able to start on those hard tyres. Do you think that really helped him?
Yeah, I think that strategy really paid off to him, because if you take, for example, other hard tire star like Bumson, I mean, well, he won the race obviously starting from P13, and so the hard tires to mediums really paid off for him there. Maybe could have gotten a bit higher, but I think he'll be happy with that P5.
Yeah, it should be. Of course, 14th on the grid, make up 9 places. Not bad at all. Actually, it came 4th in the end because of Gorsh's penalty, so actually he made up 10 places. Well, of course, we'll get on to that soon. Actually, I'll say we get onto that soon. We're going to get onto it now because it's Racing Point up next. So a thing happened. Thinking, of course, a reserve driver for Racing Point. He said he thought that because everyone else would be cutting the final chicane, he could too. So proceeded to most laps, cut the final chicane, gained a couple of attempts each time. And that obviously got sent to the stewards rather promptly. And, well, there was a decision, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. I mean, you cannot just go into a race expecting that people would, just because of the game exploit or something that the codemasters have done, would cause everyone to exploit the game. I mean, even against normal racing rules, you don't do that in a league race. So I'm not sure why he thought that cutting the turn 15 chicane as much as he did there would be a good idea. And I mean, he would get away with it, but I don't think that was very smart or very clean racing from him in Spain.
Yeah, of course, not a great precedent to come into, but he is a really quick driver, and he did show it in this race because he did have good pace. And the game did give him a 3-second time penalty because he did get it wrong a couple of times and cut a little bit too much. But overall, the stewards decided to give him... I had no inclusion in that at all because I'm Tier 2 steward. Obviously, the Tier 1 stewards decided 20-second time penalty for clear, obvious, deliberate corner cutting. So, or repetitive corner cutting as well. So, not ideal for him. He drops down to 10th place. So he does pick up 1 point, but of course,
it could have been so much more.
He didn't even need to cut to get more, to be fair. So I'm sure he knows that, and
Exactly.
I don't think that's saying he'll be trying.
Probably could have also won the race, perhaps.
Well, yes, of course, because look how close it was. Top 4, separated by 6 tenths. So obviously that was on penalties, not on track, because that would have been a hell of the 4 cars side by side at the finish line. That would be a hell of a race. So, of course, moving on. He doesn't score any points for Racing Point anyway, but he gets 1 for himself as he's a reserve driver. Mercedes, 8th place in the Constructors at the moment. They had varied qualifying, but they did come together in the race in the end, not by crashing. Of course, separated by 1.5 seconds. Nomad did get past Chandler. So what sort of went on in their races, obviously, because Chandler, he had a bit of contact early on, I believe, with a certain spinning Renault.
Certain spinning Renault, I wonder who that was.
I don't know. Yeah. So he had to pit for a new wing, and obviously, he came back from the incident a little bit better than I did, as I just sort of gave in and wanted to get fastest lap. So, really, for Mercedes, after good qualifying, especially for like Chandler, running P3 for a while as well, really pressuring Lyon and me up front. It's going to be really disappointing for him, isn't it?
Yeah, once again, probably the weekend they could, at least Chandler would expect to maybe get on a podium or get a good result for Mercedes.
Yeah.
Just once again, didn't go their way as much as they wanted, and yeah, I'll just probably have to settle for another not so good points scoring finish, down in 8th and 9th.
Yeah. Only picking up. Actually, it did become 7th and 6th, it must be said, with Gorsh's penalty, but still not ideal. Picked up some okay points in the end, though. Sorry, 7th and 8th. I mean, not 7th and 6th.
7th and 8th.
Yeah, 7th and 8th. And I think it's an alright race for them, not brilliant. But I think with some of the quick guys who came into this, like Langman and Gorsh, I think that's not, and also Bwumps and Pred running different strategy. It's not a bad race. I won't be too disappointed with that. We'll move on to Alpha now. Obviously finishing second place, Langman, a really good, solid race. Lost it on penalties in the end to Bwumpson by only, less than a tenth, so really, really close. Clenzo finished 5th, 6th on track, but 5th with Gorsh's penalty. Not bad, 11.5 seconds off the pace. I mean, his race pace has been relatively poor, so I think, do you think he really benefited from, like, especially these first 10, 15 laps where it was really just a train? The whole pack was just a train.
Yeah, I suppose he really did. But then again, you have to look at some guys who started on better strategy, like Bumson, Pred, Wangman, all of them finishing ahead of Quenzo, of course. So yeah, he was on the slower and harder tire on the second set. Well, those three were on a faster tire.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, and Clenzo, obviously not bad race. Langman, good pace throughout, and losing the race on penalties and fight up from the grid, to be fair. That was a pretty good display.
Showing, I think, that he could be really a good challenger to Joey in this championship if he stays around.
Yeah, am I right in saying as well he picked up a full-time seat, or was that someone else? I think it was him. I think he did get a full-time seat. I think it was... yes, he replaced Callum G. Yes, okay. So he's now teammates with JJ Rocks, who couldn't make it this time round. New driver at Alfa Romeo Racing, so they're probably going to climb up through the Constructors' Championship a little bit more now. They've had some fairly decent points races anyway, but the actual team with a full-time driver is yet to score a podium, but I can see that changing quite soon. Red Bull, we've mentioned, of course, that Langman now is with JJ Rocks. But F1 Aiden was a reserve in the Red Bull, went from 11th place on the grid to 7th in the race. So was it a good display from him, or did he again sort of pick up on other people's mistakes?
I think that would have been a result I would expect him to get, like from 11 to P6.
Yeah.
Of course, after
P6. Yes.
Shows that he has pace to be in Tier 1, but maybe not so much pace as the top guys battling for championship, but could probably definitely get into fights with other midfield Tier 1 runners, spice up a bit.
Yeah. Also, AMS Pred saying I hit Bwumpson in pits, so that's not ideal at all. I'm assuming he means he hit the back of Bwumpson entering the pits and broke a wing or something.
So he probably lost his 5 seconds there in the pit.
Yeah, that's
could have been
not
up
ideal.
there.
Yeah. That's a real shame in that case. Actually, I've just read that in the chat. Of course, I wasn't aware of that before. So, Toro Rosso, we said they qualified very, very split. Race wasn't too great at all. Adam dropped back, actually retired in the end. And Lyon, he just fell backwards through the grid. He was running, I've got to say, relatively interesting strategy of going, or tactic, Going. There's no other way of saying it than quite slow while leading the race and causing a very, very big train, which caused me to spin in the end. So that was absolutely brilliant. I love him for that. I did say earlier on, I think if he did just push, this race could have been so much better for him. By just being this close to all the other guys, having that gap is so vital, as we've learned in pretty much all the RFL races so far. If he was able to just try to space it out a little bit more, and he was going so slow through turn one, it was painful. You'd catch up on the straight, and he'd be going about 20 mile an hour slower than you want to be. So it was not too brilliant to follow him, and he's normally really hard to overtake. So actually, I'm not 100% sure how he's managed to drop down to P10. Of course, it's P9 now with Gorsh's penalty. But yeah, what happened in his race after, of course, the spin on my little spin on lap 10 whilst he was leading?
Oh, well, not really sure what his idea in the race was, but yeah, leading from P1 and holding the entire train up, I don't think that would have been the best strategy in any racer's book. Like, to do stuff like that. And yeah, just basically an overall a weekend for Toro Rosso to forget. I mean, considering Adam retired also, he couldn't even be there up there with his teammate, help him maybe get in the fight. Maybe he tried to help his teammate fight with the other guys, get up closer to the field. Maybe that was a strategy. I'm not sure, but yeah, it didn't work out for neither of them. Adam DNFing, and in the end it bit Ryan as well. So yeah, hopefully they'll bounce back stronger in Monaco.
Yeah, they'll be hoping to, and hopefully not bouncing off the walls like I imagine most the grid doing. So yeah, and sorry, Cleanse, I didn't offend you necessarily. Okay, take P5. You did a really good race. Okay, take it.
Yeah,
I will try not to offend you.
Yeah, I think that was his best finish.
It was. It was good. It was a good race. Yeah. I'm just saying.
So, yeah.
I was just saying you got helped by a train slightly. That's all. Nothing else. Yeah. Okay. So we'll move on to McLaren now. Obviously, Danny on the return started 7th on the grid. Really benefited from me trying to kill Chandler. And yeah, sort of drove an okay race.
He's actually on podium, you know.
Oh yes, he is. Yeah. Yes. Of course, his penalty. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So yeah, he'll be really happy with that. I think 7th to the podium.
Yeah.
And I think, well, you're only 6 attempts off, of course, after penalties, off of actually winning the race. So, it's a real, actually, when you think about it, what could have been for Chandler and me, actually, with, of course, we were beating Danny. I think he overtook Clenzo round the outside, clipped the overtake at turn 1, and then lost 2 places. So, he was convinced he actually would have won that race had he not been incredibly happy with that overtake and decided to record it and then lose 2 places straight away. So, yeah, he won't be happy with that. Probably learned a lesson.
It's always with the if you want to see record some incident and you have like cars behind you, it's just not happening unless you give up one or to do the other.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah, I've been in that situation before. You've done something really good. You're like, no, you know what? I quite want to clip that. But they're still about half a second back behind you, and you're going for a really tight, twisty section at Baku, so let's not. What team is next? I've just turned the thing off. Renault. Yeah, let's not just not talk about this. That's
I guess we could label Renault as another team like Toro Rosso, a weekend to forget after amazing qualifying, 2nd and 5th. Yeah, I don't think that's the race result they were expecting. No points this week, first time in the season.
Not
even fastest lap.
No,
not even the fastest lap point either. So yeah, weekend to forget like Toro Rosso.
Yeah,
hopefully they bounce back in Monaco.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, really. And did I get fastest lap? I think I got fastest lap.
No, Langman did.
Did he? He got 20.1. I did 19.0. Anyway, let's not. Okay, so Lewis is going to be a minute. Sorry, I just read a message. So yeah, okay, we'll move on from Renault. Obviously, not a good race. Vapid, I'm not quite sure what actually happened to him. I think he made 2 pit stops, so I'm assuming a bit of wing damage. And he was very not happy with people after the race. So yeah, he certainly is hoping for something a little bit better in Monaco and try to bounce back from 11th place in this race, make it a little bit better. And in my case, let's try to not bottle it this time by dipping my front left tyre on a curb. Let's just not do that. So Haas, really good race for one of their drivers. LCR Bumpson went 13th to 1st, of course using that really good strategy and picking up on those penalties. And then Schweiz retiring early on in the race, he's P15, so really, really contrasting. Of course, Schweiz was a reserve anyway, so even if he did get points, it won't count for the constructors, but he sure could have, he could have done with it in the Drivers' Championship for sure. But Brumson, were you expecting that at all from a guy who's really at best this season only looked like picking up sort of 3rd places?
Well, in a way, if you take, for example, Australia as a good comparison to Spain, you could expect that with perhaps the safety car, what he did with the strategy in Australia on going on softs. But then again, winning against Langman, of course, that he would had penalties that helped him. But yeah, it's a great win. I'm sure he'll love that as much as his teammate as well. Pepsi will be delighted with him taking the first win for Haas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And basically rocketing him to like being now a championship contender to Joey with being 2nd in the standings.
Yeah,
with that result.
Yeah. Yeah, he's overtaken Vapid as well, who's been holding on to that P2 for quite a while now in the championship. So he'll be more than happy with that. I think he's got a fairly sizable lead actually as well to Vapid now, because Danny P3. So potentially he's going to be losing that position fairly soon. And then of course Williams is the last team in Tier 1, and of course no points for obvious reasons and no reserves either. So we'll look at the drivers' standings now. So yep, Brumson, we said, elevated himself up into P2 with that win. Really happy with that he will be, and of course he was. Danny, P3, on a return after missing the 2 races at China and Azerbaijan. Really hurt his championship, especially after a non-scoring race in Bahrain as well. So it's such a big gap at the moment to Jolly. I'm sure he won't. Jolly will be okay with this result, because worst case scenario would have been Vapid winning this race, because it would have meant obviously the championship or 2nd place would be closer to him.
Exactly.
So I think he'll take that. That's Jolly will still be all right with that. It's still more than a race win between Brumson and Jolly. And Jolly, no offense to Brumson, Jolly is a quicker driver, and he's been so dominant this season. I'm sure when he comes back from Monaco, he's going to put in a good showing as well, as long as he can keep it out of the walls. If we look a little bit further downfield, Vapid drops to P4, loses 2 places in this race. Definitely not happy with that at all. 58 points off the championship he is now, I think. Oh no, sorry, 51. I can't read. And then you have Adam behind him and Lion, 5th and 7th. So not bad for Toro Rosso team. They've really sort of pulled this back now, because they were much lower earlier on. They were sort of hanging around 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, that sort of region a couple of races ago. But they've had a couple of alright performances actually, especially where Azerbaijan really boosted them, with a podium for Adam, of course, as well. That really helped them. Sort of looking at Ansmaz, didn't attend obviously, so because we didn't talk about him. Didn't lose any places actually, I don't think. He didn't lose any places, so he'll be very happy with that. To actually not attend a race and not even lose 1 place in the championship, he'll be very happy with that. Of course, it didn't help with the points, because I'm sure he would have scored some points.
Then again, he did hold on to that P6 just by Lion getting only P9, the 3 points that he got with the fastest lap in the race. But that, considering that Antmaz had that P4, which is his best finish of the season, Azerbaijan, so that kind of outweighs the results that the Lion had.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's close between the two though. Obviously, matched on points, so obviously that's gonna be close. And then you have a real just a bunch of guys separated by a matter of about 6 points, all the way down to like BMG Clenso down in 15th place. You have 18 points to 23 points separating the two Alfa Romeo drivers actually. So really, really close. And actually, realistically, this midfield battle goes from Pred now on 14 points all the way up to sort of 38, 40. And that's a matter of a lucky podium, a lucky race win.
Yeah, that's anyone in from say like P4 to down to P18 could take a win and just shut themselves up right into top 5 of the championship.
Up into P3, up into P4, yeah. So of course Langman, he's going to climb up this championship. Everyone's expecting that. Gorsh as well, if he can not quarter cut, will be all right for himself. He showed some really good pace. If he can literally keep it on track. And yeah, looking at it, it's not really, of course, Gorsh getting his first points on the board as a reserve. Pepsi, not made last 2 races, he's dropped down to 20th place. Even F1 Aiden's ahead of him now. So those early points, those early consistent points, 11th, 8th, 10th. Obviously 11th isn't points, but 8th and 10th. Not doing him quite enough. He sits on 5 points only for the moment. So obviously when he gets back from Spa as well, so he's going to be missing this weekend, he's going to be wanting to get some consistent higher scoring points in to really climb himself up this championship.
Yeah, and hopefully put Haas even closer to Williams in the constructors.
Because you've seen Flying Rossi, of course, down 16th place in Williams. He hasn't made last 2 races, and he's dropped down to 16th. So really not ideal. And I think we're good for Tier 1 now. So move on to Tier 2. Tier 1 constructors. Oh, hello. Okay, right, Lewis is here, so we can do it. I'm just going to quickly do Tier 1 constructors. I'm going to talk for us more, I think. Williams leading by 47 points. Of course, gap has gone down to Haas, who have overtaken Renault after that non-point scoring race. They're currently equal on points. 1 point behind them is McLaren. 4 points behind them is Toro Rosso. 13 points behind them is Red Bull. 0 points behind them is equal Red Bull as Alpha. And then 5 points behind them is Mercedes. And then you have a bit of a gap to Racing Point and Ferrari. But the Constructors' Championship has really closed in now. It's the same situation where with the drivers, where if anyone gets a lucky podium, they're not only gonna boost their championship position, but also their team's Constructors' Championship position as well.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone from P2 to P8 could just do that with a podium, and we'll be right up there in the constructors' fight.
Yeah.
Hopefully, manage to put some pressure on Williams, but maybe later in the season we don't know.
It depends. It depends on Rossi's form, really. If he can turn around the two bad races in Bahrain and China, they're not even appearing in Azerbaijan or Spain. If he can't turn that around, then Williams could well be under risk from some guys like potentially Haas if they keep up this good string of results. Potentially Renault if we can turn it around after these awful races. Never know, McLaren if Danny can turn it around and Ian Boy can get some good consistent point finishes. I wouldn't really say Toro Rosso have a chance because they're sort of shown to be very, very solid midfield drivers, quick midfield drivers. And now you have Langman, of course, and Gorsh as well. Both Red Bull and Racing Point could climb up the standings. So again, a lot to watch out for, and I'm sure we'll find out as it goes on. I think now I'll do Tier 1 for now. So we're going to move on to Tier 2. So Lewis is in it now. Hello.
Hello.
Right.
Sorry about that.
So, wet qualifying. You know what? I've done a hell of a lot of talking. You can pretty much summarise qualifying for me because throat is not great.
Oh Jesus! Right, I need to get the YouTube screen up.
Oh yeah, that would probably be useful.
Wait. Yeah, I've just been at a certain orange supermarket, so that's why I've been late. Sorry. Right. Okay. Let me just.
It's really
I'll be
fluid. This.
completely honest. I've kind of forgot what's happened. That sounds so unprofessional. Right,
Yeah.
here we go. Yeah, it would help if I could find the stream.
That would be useful. Racing Formula League. It will be in the Tier 2 chat.
Would
I
it?
offended everyone. Oh, well, that will do as well.
Oh, yeah, I see
It's
it. I
in our
see it.
Skype chat now. This is going really well.
I can see it now. Right. Yeah, Tom, you did great.
Well done.
Yeah, Tom, great, great pace. Explaining them. What we'll say is for a lot of the earlier times when Emerald started to first get involved in Tier 2, it looked like he was the one that was carrying all the pace. And I'm glad to see Tom proving that to be false and giving Emerald a run for his money. Emerald's still up there in P2. Perez, third, but both racing points in third and fourth. Is Cal an official racing point, or is he?
He's a reserve.
Yeah, he's reserve. Yeah.
He's a reserve. Oh, okay.
I'm the other driver for Racing Point.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I should have. Anyway, you were Mercedes the other week. I was confused. Anyway,
That's a fair point. Fair point.
Yeah. Level Red Devil in fifth. Lewis down in sixth. I think it's interesting to see. It could be a change of dynamics in wet conditions as opposed to dry conditions when it comes to qualifying and pace. I think if it was a dry race, Lewis could have possibly challenged for pole, but who knows? Reese and Adam, Joel. Is that is
Axken.
yeah, is that drifting?
Yes, everyone struggles with that.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think
And then
anyone
we
likes that
had, yeah, I don't like that name. Joe, Joe down on 11th. Rampage 12th on his Tier 2
Debut.
His debut.
Yes,
That's the word. And we had Scott and Dongarang down in 13th and 14th. Great pace by Tom, as I said. And I think this could have been, we'll get on to the race in a bit, but I think had it had some risky decisions not being made, I think this could have been reflective. Well, Tom being on pole could have been reflective on the race, but we'll see.
Yes.
What the race.
So, yeah, obviously some notable things there. The gap between Emerald and Esperos. So Tom and Emerald, they really did put in a really good show here to be 1 second clear of the Racing Point boys. Sorry. So that's
You think most of the Tier 2 drivers just messed up their final runs or didn't go out for one? Could have been a case.
That could have been the case. I think it was a matter of judging when was the right moment to
Exactly.
Give it the push. Give it the push. That's I'm really bad at phrases. But yeah, Tom and what's his name? Emerald. I'm really out of it today. I must admit, I'm really out of it today. But yeah, they really gave it a bit more than the rest of the field, I think.
Yeah.
And had people judged their timings correctly, they could have been fighting with them, but
yeah, I saw in the stream a couple of guys not getting the timing quite right and losing out on better conditions. So yeah, not ideal. Racing Point, good qualifying for them though. Label as well, P5, not bad. We normally see him there or thereabouts this season. He's shown some pretty solid pace. Looking down the grid, Rampage, you won't be happy with that. 2.5 seconds off the pace. Big gap to Joe as well. Obviously, I think with most of these laps, there was obviously quite a few mistakes. It's hard in the wet. That's understatement of the year. It's bloody difficult.
Especially around the track like Spain.
Fast corners as well, just not nice. You have the horrible mix as well, instability under braking sometimes, a couple of these corners, and that in the wet really, really makes it worse. So it's easy to slide, it's easy to get a bit sideways, and then you've got to be so careful on the exit of the corners, and there's so many opportunities to lose time. So many. Normally in the dry, it's how you get on the throttle, how you brake, how late you brake, how early you're on the throttle, and your racing line. In the wet, there's so many more factors to deal with. Your car feels a lot more alive. It's awful. I think that'll do with qualifying. Obviously, most noticeable things have got to be Tom and Emerald. Really good pace in qualifying. Rampage being so low, not happy with that at all. Dongarang as well being 4 seconds off the pace. There's obviously a massive mistake made there. And the rest of it's somewhat expected. Alfa Romeo, actually, it must be said, top 2 in the championship, not doing a good run for themselves at all there. Bad representation. We'll move on to the race now. So, again, you can sort of overview it and have a look at what went on for the race. So, I'll wait for it to load up on your screen.
There it is.
Oh,
right. We'll start with. Should we just go in reverse order?
Yeah, go reverse order. Yeah.
Let's go reverse order. Yeah, I never do that. Right, Emerald. I don't know. It was going really well at the start, and then
it wasn't.
I don't know if it was pure. I think it was pure mistake. I don't know what happened to him. It's just. I think if it was just him struggling in the condition, I don't know if he crashed before it started raining or when it started. But yeah, he was really competitive with Tom at the start, giving us a great battle, and then he stuffed it.
Fairly, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know what happened there. Was it? I don't know if it was a collision with another competitor or purely out of. I can't remember. I don't know if it was shown on the stream itself, but I think we cut to camera and then he was just off the track.
Yeah.
I'm
not sure.
But yeah, it's a shame because him and Tom were showing a great competitive fight, and I think we would have loved to seen that all the way through to the end.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he just it didn't work. It went all a bit wrong.
Yeah. Clearly wasn't a good day for drivers starting first and second as well. Looking at the
we'll get to the other one in a bit.
That's reflected tier 1 quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
With me deciding I want to crash and Lion's lack of pace. Move on.
Basically, whoever gets pole in tier 2 just hasn't converted into a win or
no chance of winning.
Rampage. It's a shame, especially on his debut. But I think it was reflective in his tier 1 time how he just didn't finish. So I don't know if that's. I really hope that we can at least get a finish from him coming into Monaco. But I mean, it's Monaco, so we'll probably have less expectancy for him to finish.
There's a lot of crashes,
but
no doubt.
Yeah. So if he can avoid trouble, but it'll be great. But it's just a shame. But so hopefully we can actually see him crossing the finish line next time. Dongarang. I'm not even sure what to say. I know there was a collision that he was involved in at one point. I don't know if it wasn't too much of a collision. I think
I
it
think he had the
was.
same case scenario like Schweiz in Tier 1. He's also, I think, learning no wine, and yeah, it's kind of tough for him out there.
Yeah, exactly. Joe, not gonna lie, I can't remember what.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Joe,
what happened to him actually.
he was having a leisurely drive, and all of a
Died.
sudden, DNF'd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not ideal.
Not ideal. Joel, again, someone who
2 laps down.
he's really not, besides Australia, everything, Australia was great for him. I think he was, I think he got the fastest lap in Australia, had a great pace, and ever since Australia, things have just
He didn't get fast.
slowly, yes, things have just really not gone his way. But at least he was allowed to cross the finish line this time, even if it was 2 laps down. It's a shame. I'm not sure what caused him to be so far back. I think it was just, I'm not even sure, just poor strategy, especially with the change of conditions, probably. So yeah, it's a shame for him, but I really want to see Joel up there fighting, and I don't know when or even if we'd see it. We're going to see it this season, but it would be great. And then we get to Tom.
Yeah.
I really think Tom could have possibly been challenging at the front to the very end if it not have been for that poor decision
Poor strategy call during
strategy call. Yeah, exactly.
changing conditions.
It was definitely a risk to go on to the intermediates like that early.
Sometimes
and
these things do happen, you know. I mean,
exactly.
you take the risks. Sometimes risks pay off very well, better than others, and sometimes they just don't. You can never predict with the raining races.
I appreciate people who make those sort of gambles and put put in their, I don't know, their Formula One lives on the their races on the line in that way, and trying to be bold. But it didn't work out for him, and then he got another penalty for I think it speeding in the pit lane or something. I'm not sure. So yeah, it really didn't work out for him. It's a shame because he very well could have possibly been fighting for his second win. But yeah, it wasn't great at all. In fact, it was quite awful.
Yeah.
Reese.
I'm not quite sure
what
what
is there
happened to his race,
to say about Reese? Yeah. Reese has always, I think, for this season, has always been sort of middle ground racer, fighting within the middle of the standings, and the same could be the same. It's the same here. I would love to see Reese again fighting with the top runners. We haven't seen anything. I don't know, anything impressive. It's impressive that he's consistent in that way, but it would be great if we could see him fighting amongst the front pack. But we haven't seen that yet. Scott. I mean, he did better than Emerald.
Yeah.
I think he had a pretty quiet race, starting 13th. Just picked up the pieces from others' misfortunes and just had a calm race to get up to P7. He'll take the best result of this season for him.
Is that the best? I'm is that his best then?
Yeah, P7 is his best result of the season at the moment.
Oh, not bad then. Yeah. Nothing. He hasn't got too much to complain about, I don't think. Besides, he would definitely want to punch harder and fight for better positions. But if he's doing better than his previous results, then I don't see any right to complain about anything. You just have that mentality of always wanting to do one better, and you can never be 100%. 100% happy with your results. You always want to do better, and I think Scott's doing great, and yeah, just keep pushing. We'll move on to Kel. I'm not sure. Is there any reason why Kel was dropped to tier 2, or is it just scheduling kind of things?
We had a lot of reserves in tier 1, and his pace better matched tier 2.
Okay.
So
that's fair enough.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. Yeah. I'd say deserves an official seat, but we'll. But
if someone drops out, he will.
Anyway, it's I think it's great that he's in P6. I think there was an incident. I don't know whenabouts it was, but I think he ended up on one of the final. I think this was Cal, but I think he'd spun. Don't know whenabouts in the race it was. I can't remember, but I think he spun. So
yeah, a gap like that would make sense.
Yeah. So it was a shame. I know that I'm a fan of Cal. I don't know if that's just because of his prior tier 2 commentary. He was all amazing at that. But he's definitely got some sort of likability to him, and I think he has the possibilities of being within like the front pack of the tier as opposed to like middle ground. I think he could punch up to the front runners and give them a run for their money, even if it's like the ones, the sort of positions where it's just missing out on podiums. I think he still has the potential to fight with the front runners, but who knows? Hopefully, we can see him on the podium eventually here in tier 2. And yeah, love Cal.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on, we got Level Red Devil. I think he has. He got P5, so it was. What was the gap? Yeah, it wasn't too far off. Well, it was kind of. He's not got anything to be. Unless I've missed something. He's not got too much to be.
He said that he had like a damage limitation race. Apparently, he started P5, had damage, then he had to pit. He was at the back. Safety car came out and it helped him out. So it basically fought his way back up to where he started.
Yeah.
Okay.
He put down on sweet.
I think he's someone that we've seen as though he's not. At the moment, I mean, I haven't seen the championship leagues yet. He's definitely someone that is possibly a podium. We've seen him on the podium before, and I think we could see him fighting for a podium in future races as well. But we're yet to see him really fighting up there and being consistently on the podium. And I think we definitely want to see that from him, but he needs to try and avoid getting damage.
Yeah, fair enough.
That'll be the objective for every one of them in Monaco.
Of course, no one wants to be damaged. I think if that's what it came down to, then as a shame as it is, we could have possibly seen him fighting if it had not been for that.
Yeah.
Shout out to your lion who's in the chat, and shout out to Kieran. Kieran's actually one of the people I know in real life, so that's interesting that he's watching the stream. Anyway,
hello.
Hello. Right, move on. Perez is definitely someone I think should be challenging for the championship if Monaco is anything to go by. If Azerbaijan, I feel like there's a lot of polarizing qualities about both Azerbaijan and Monaco, and I think if BMG Lewis has a race like Azerbaijan in Monaco, we could possibly see someone like Perez being right up there in the championship battle. Perez could well have been on the podium this race. He's definitely up there in the battle. Just missed out by just over a second. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's someone that's definitely being impressive and someone that's really defining. I feel is one of the figureheads of the season as of right now. So yeah, hopefully this championship battle will heat up, and I think Perez is the one to keep an eye on. Here we go.
Axcom, yes.
Yeah.
Lovely name.
Lovely. That's radio right now. I mean, anyway.
No.
Not. He's back on the podium. And
he's a reserve.
Both of the
He's been dropped to reserve after not showing for a couple races, but now he's managed to show for first race. So yeah, showed in space. They could get a podium.
Yeah, great. And I think, but we'll say both of the alphas showing that as important as qualifying is, even if they did have a poor qualifying that didn't reflect them in prior races, they still have.
I mean,
great.
obviously, Lewis shows that like why he's a championship leader. Even with the bad qualifying, like sixth, he'll be up there fighting for that win. With being only 6 tenths off, I think he lost it on the penalties there.
Yeah, he did. He definitely had amazing strategy. The only part of his strategy that was poor was getting the multiple warnings. I don't know if that was. I don't think that was part of his strategy, but it's a shame if it hadn't been for the multiple warnings penalty. he could have had the win. But that knocked time off his finishing result, knocked him down to P2, which is still commendable. And then Adam. What I'll say about Adam is, prior to the race, that wouldn't have been predicted, I don't think. And then with the race, probably the best strategy, well, definitely the best strategy in the race, especially with changed conditions. Safety car, I think, possibly worked in his favour. At one point, he went on the softs, and I think it was the most alternate strategy out of everyone.
Yeah.
And it was it could have been seen as slightly left field, but it was definitely amazing, and he got him the win. So he has nothing to complain about, and great work. And I'm not sure where that puts
him. By the
him.
looks of it, picked up fastest lap of the race as well. By the looks of it.
26.
He did.
26.
Okay. We
soft,
good with that.
Soft 7 for the fastest lap, I think.
Yeah.
Unless it was the last lap. It was on the last lap.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm talking too much.
That's fine. Right, let's move on to Tier 2 drivers' standings now. So, let me make that bigger so I can actually read it. So, obviously, still the two... picking something off the floor. The two Alfa Romeo drivers are still leading 1-2 at the moment, followed closely, very, very closely now, by the Haas boys of Tom Goyan and Labour Red Devil, both been putting in brilliant performances recently. Really good shows. S. Perez, 5th after missing the first race, is actually staging a comeback as well. And there's a good gaggle of cars, around 40 points as well, with Exploded Emerald. After that win and 3rd place in China and Azerbaijan, is at the bottom of that sort of 40-point gang. Then you've got a bit of a gap, 18 points to Artie. Of course, he's rubbish, he is. And yeah, Beast Tornadoes as well. He's picked up a P2.
Says yeah.
Fair enough.
I mean,
you have Joel's P10 for the Renault. Renault not doing great, 10th and 13th. They're both two really quick guys, but have missed a couple of races, obviously, between them. They've missed quite a few races. But they'll be hoping for better results, surely.
Oh, wait, Axkev is not drifting pro, it's someone completely different. Ignore me.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, is that drifting?
No, Axkev 11. Of course, after that, P3, so he's picked up some fairly solid points as well. Looking down, there's a couple of guys still to get off the mark who've done a couple of races. Of course, Rampage.
like you, Lewis.
Yeah.
Right,
Disgraceful.
Like shut up.
I can't really talk, to be fair. I've only had a P2. In 2-1.
So you have no right to comment and even get my race number right.
Yeah.
It was 50. You said it was 50.
Yeah, but like you had it like 59 for like the first. Anyway,
yeah, it's fine. Yeah, looking at it, it's of course BMG Lewis still in by far the best position. He's had consistent upper end top scoring point races. Good sentence. And it's currently got him 27 points out front. So out of this pack behind him, who is the most likely to catch up and potentially overtake, do you think?
Yeah, I'd say. Oh Jesus! They all have potential.
Okay, if you want to name 2 or 3, do that.
I'm gonna stick with my guns and say Perez.
Yeah.
But but Tom, if he can still put in performances like he did in Azerbaijan and have the start of the Spain race without making silly, well, not silly, but like misjudging decisions, I think Tom could be fighting up there as well, hopefully.
Yeah. Artie, what do you think?
I think also Perez could be up there. He's got 3 top 5 finishes out of 4 races.
Yeah.
As opposed to guys in front of him like Tom or Weibo who had like mixed results, mixed bag. The fact that he's only 1 point behind them both with missing a race already suggests that he could be the best of the rest behind Alphas, or maybe even challenge Lewis late in the season.
I think, realistically, Drift King Pro missing a couple races really hasn't helped him out at all, because he was right up there earlier on. I think we'll have a look. Well, we will have a look at the constructors now for Tier 2. Looking at it, of course, Alpha still out ahead with quite a, not a massive gap, not even a 1-2 gap to Haas, but enough of a gap to be relatively safe for the next couple of races, I'd say. Unless a really bad result happens for Lewis, and then Tom and Label can get podiums. So that's the only way I can really see it turning around, but in the next couple of races at least. Racing Point as well, they're quite a bit off, but they're, of course, 55 points off, so they're over a 1-2 behind. Then you have 20 points back Red Bull. They've had a better run of form recently, of course, with Emerald's win and 3rd place. They're getting more points. Ferrari, now in good form, of course, after the win for Adam Lee, showing some good pace, 42 points. Was Adam Lee? No, who was that? That was last week. No, it was Adam Lee.
Oh, that was they were P8 last week.
Yes.
Now they jumped to top 5.
Yes, okay.
A win.
Looking at it, Renault, 26 points. So it's close between Renault, Mercedes, and Williams. There's a good little battle going on there. They're only 3 points apart. Toro Rosso, far behind, only on 1 point. Not going great for them. And McLaren still yet to get off the mark. Not much to read into there, really. It's relatively spread out compared to Tier 1. Of course, it needs a couple of good results from near enough 5th and below to really change much. But if anyone has anything to add, we'll move on. If not,
no.
All right. Right. Okay, we'll move on to the old predictions from last week round. So, I've said Vapid would win Tier 1. That didn't end well. Daddy P2, not quite, very close. And then me being cocky again meant I crashed. So it goes without saying I'm not going to put myself on the podium ever again, even if I happen to win about 10 races in a row. God forbid. I'm never going on the podium because I crash every time I do it. Tier 2, Emerald P1. It was possible for a bit, didn't quite happen. Drift King Pro P2 didn't turn up, so definitely didn't happen. And S. Perez P3, so alright. Morgs, he's not here, so he said Danny would win, didn't happen. Vapid 2nd, didn't happen. Dark Predator 3rd, didn't happen. Okay, that's really good. Tier 2, Emerald P1, didn't happen. Esperos Tier 2, I've already forgotten what happened. No, it didn't happen.
It was 4th.
Yes,
cool.
yeah, he was outside.
Yeah.
I was close though, so I win. And BMG Lewis 3rd, which didn't happen either. So.
Also close.
Yeah. It was getting a bit closer. And then, obviously, you can say yours.
Yeah, me, Rapid 1st, no.
No.
First shot 2nd, no, it didn't happen either.
No,
I said you would come 3rd. I thought,
I think it's
what,
your
I'll give
fault.
him another chance. You think it was my fault? Hold on, no.
You keep choosing it. Just never do it again. Yeah. No one's allowed to choose me.
I'm not the one that's, yeah. Anyway. But yeah, me trusting Bradley again didn't work,
Yeah,
so
no,
that's the
not a
last
fan
time
of
I'm doing
either.
that.
Yeah.
That's the last time I'm doing that. Right, tier 2. Emerald, yeah, that didn't happen. Could have happened, but no, it went all a bit Pete Tong. Lewis second
Spot on.
happened. Way!
on.
Yes, I got something. Right. And
See,
then
ultra accurate. There you go.
there you
That's
go.
what you
There
come
you
here
go.
for.
There you go. That was ultra accurate of me. Yeah, Perez in third didn't happen.
No. Well, yeah, okay, fair
That
enough.
was cool.
Yeah.
So, I think one person got one right, so that's ultra accurate. We were ultra accurate for tier 2, second place, so, you know.
Right, yeah.
from us.
I'm getting these next ones right.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
what-
so, preview for Monaco, round 6. Well, this is a, rather famous track for every reason in the world. Very difficult to overtake, very easy to crash, really. That's all you need to summarise it.
You need to know.
Never
Yeah.
heard of it.
There's no. There's not much more, really, is there? It doesn't have a lot going for it, apart from you're going to crash and you're not going to
You're gonna-
overtake.
I'd say the one turn to look out for is the one on the exit of the tunnel.
Oh, yes,
The little chicane area.
No more chicane.
Yes.
Yeah, that thing. That's probably my point of interest.
Yep. I think also someone trying a little Charles Leclerc move near Anthony No as well. That'd be a good little overtake. Of course, don't hit the wall because that didn't end well for Charles. Yeah, hairpin as well. Someone's gonna try a move. It's inevitable. Tier 1 or tier
Oh,
2.
I hate
It
that.
always happens. I got put in a wall last year because someone
That's-
decided to dive bomb at the hairpin. So that was fun.
This next segment, there's a new segment. It's like, where's Lewis gonna crash?
Yeah.
So that's
How many corners are you
That's
gonna
just-
make it into the race?
That's just not overtaking spot that happened. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand.
People think, oh look, I can brake later than you, and then they overshoot the corner, get on the curb, and put you both in a wall. That's just how it works. Yeah.
So apologies in advance
For causing a
anyone
track
in
block.
tier 2.
But remember, if you have an issue, park it at the hairpin. It's fine. That's all we. Yeah. Interesting track. Always a lot of fun, and well, it's normally fun for about 5 laps. Then half the guys have retired, so the commentators just get bored. So yeah. Morgs can have fun with that.
Commentary as well, so that should be fun. Oh, I'm on tier 1 commentary.
Yes, you are. Yeah, I forgot you were replaced. Yes, welcome to tier 1 as well. You get to watch me crash. Yeah. So, I thought we'll go on to the new predictions because we've overshot by quite a bit this week. Actually, I say that it's normally about an hour 20 anyway. It's meant to be an hour show. We're just not very good at sticking to it. Yeah, which is a bit awful. No, it's meant to be an 80-minute show. Actually, no, I think it is.
We're not getting stopped by Ted's notebook. We're fine.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So we have the new predictions now. It's a little bit crowded this week because I forgot that Morg sent his in. So this is a bit of a mess.
You just shoved Morgs on top.
Yeah, well, I did ours, and then I went, oh crap, Morgs did one, so I just chucked him on top. Right, so Morgs has put Sparshot P1, who is also AMS wildcard apparently. I'm not sure what's going on there, game and tag change. Langman P2, and Grumpy Lion P3s, and he's put massive wildcard, he put in brackets, so he's not expecting that at all. He's basically just put that for banter. T2, he's put Drift King Pro, BMG Lewis, and Exploding Emerald P3. That's looking fairly reasonable. If you guys want to talk through yours, start with Artie.
Yeah, well, first of all, first place for tier 1, AMS Wildcard, who is Jack Sparshot.
Yep.
He's mentioned he's got like some recent good performances in Monaco. Like I think it was a P1 and P2 in other leagues. So yeah, might even convert it in RFL tomorrow. Never know. Joey might be up there to P2. I put him because I don't think he just will have the pace for to take to take the win because probably someone else will, or he will crash. I don't know. Fred for the P3.
Yeah.
Looking at for my league, WXL, he had good race, mostly clean. I think he could also mount a challenge for podium.
Yeah.
If
He's normally quite consistent, so I think yes, that's not too out of the picture. You want to do tier 2?
Yeah. So same story, kind of for tier 2 or tier 1. Joel, he apparently has shown that he has a lot of pace for Monaco. We'll see if that happens for the P1. Perez, he's got a couple of 4th places, and he had a P2 in Bahrain. Hopefully, we'll put it on P2 in Monaco as well.
Yeah.
Adam Lee, that's kind of like a wild card guess. Maybe if you avoid carnage from everyone, might sneak a podium. Keep to make it a double podium for Ferrari as well.
Oh yeah, it would be. Yeah. So Lucius.
Yep. So here are the results of the Monaco Grand Prix. Jolly is going to win.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Unless I overtake him at the hairpin.
Unless someone crashes into
him. I trust Bradley's a better sport than that. That's probably saying too much.
Yeah.
No, he's probably not. Anyway, Danny is P2. I feel, Danny. I think this is the time where he could actually return to the fight at the top. But I think Jolly, having that experience over him, could beat him. But anyway, yeah, Danny P2 and Bumson in P3. He's just showing that he's one to contend with this season, and I think he's the one for P3. And in tier 2, I kind of based it more on the Azerbaijan Grand Prix more than anything. Tom, with another win. Please, Tom.
Try fast.
Emerald. I think Emerald. He was up there had he not had ghosted in Azerbaijan. And with that, I feel I draw a lot. I find a lot of parallels with the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Monaco. So yeah, and I put Perez in P3, because he's good.
Yeah. Fair enough.
He's good.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be a little bit. So it's fair.
Yeah, but let's say I'm gonna have a RT as a P11 prediction.
Yeah. And where will you be?
In 4th year. In a wall of doing a Pascal airline.
No, I'm just gonna wait for everyone else to crash
Good
out.
idea. That's a good idea.
Just like
And then you can
take.
crash out.
No. I promise this time I'm going to be careful.
Okay. That's encouraging. Right, so I put Jolly winning because, yeah. Danny P2 because, he's quick. He's probably going to be all right. Langman P3 because, again, he was really quick at Spain, starting from the back as well. And I'm assuming at Monaco he's not going to try to do that because, I've seen some stupid things before, but... yeah. Tier 2, BMG Lewis, he tweeted me after seeing this saying, "What are you smoking?" Which is, he's clearly very confident, so I'm going to put all my money on him. He's very confident about this race. I'm assuming he was mentioning what am I smoking because I put Perez second and Emerald third. That's my only guess. So yeah, Perez, he showed some really good pace. It's Monaco, you can't predict it. Literally half a second.
For tier 2, Brad. Track.
Yeah.
100% happen.
Nope. Half a second or a quarter of a second misjudgment at any of these corners probably means you're going to end up in a wall. So it's fairly difficult to predict. It's basically who can not crash the best. Yeah. Fairly simple with Monaco. Don't bin it and be the quickest at not binning it. And I think that takes us to the end. I think we are done. Unless any of you have anything you'd like to quickly mention, anything to look out for, I'll go on about doing the outro.
Watch out for rain.
Yeah, oh Jesus, no. No. No.
I don't know, maybe we could get our first Thorpesy podium.
Oh, yeah. Never know.
No, that's not even, no, it's going to take some time before that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to taking Artie out. That's all I'll say.
Hey.
Don't park it at the hairpin, you'll be fine. Just say you're locked up and hit the wall. It's easy. Yeah, okay, so in that case, thanks everyone for sticking with us throughout the show. And make sure you watch both Tier 1 and Tier 2 to just see how ultra accurate our ultra accurate predictions were. Because, they're going to be 100%, and how long each of us last in the race. Because if it's longer than about 20 laps, I think we've done pretty good. Yep. So, of course, Tier 2 is on at 7 PM UK time. Tier 1 is on at 9 PM UK time or our Twitter is RFL F1 League if you are interested in joining, whatever. Because we do get more views than drivers in this league, so there must be people who stumble across this at some point. So yeah, of course, and then watch all of it on Twitch as the races unfold and see if we do get any wet weather. Because if we do, we're probably going to have to pull out the half points. Let's be honest. Yeah. So thank you everybody for watching. See you all next week for episode 7, where we will be reviewing round 6 at Monaco and previewing round 7. So goodbye.
Canada.
I'll do. Yeah, Canada. Yeah.
Goodbye. Bye everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. See ya. That's ready on it.
No. Okay. Right. End it.